and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm very excited because I have a special guest with me.
Hi.
This is Kritika and she creates travel and lifestyle videos on YouTube, and this collab has been in the making for a very long time, like a year and a half
Maybe, yeah.
Like I still remember when I messaged her nervously like, do you want to collab? She said yes, but then she moved and now she's back in Bombay for a bit. A lot of her videos are super travel focused, and I know you guys really seem to like the travel content on my channel as well, especially the ones where I just sit down and talk. So today we are going to be doing the Wanderlust tag.
So it's basically a set of 10 travel related questions. I'll just be answering and chatting about travel with you guys.
And also we did a video together on Kritika's channel. I'll link it at the end of this video. I'll link it down below. I'll link it everywhere. I'll bombard you with the link. It involves talking and also food.
Yeah.
I know you guys like food videos. So yeah, do check that out. So I'm gonna start with the first question, and that is, what is your most treasured passport stamp?
So my most treasured passport stamp, I'm going to say, is Vietnam. I went to Vietnam in the beginning of this year, and it was the first time I was traveling without my family. Actually, no, it was the second time I was traveling without my family. But this trip I did with my brother, and we'd been planning this for 2-3 years. We'd been wanting to do this trip for a really long time, and it finally happened. So that's something that I really treasure.
Lovely. My most treasured passport stamp, I don't have a lot of different ones just because I end up doing repeat destinations, and Thailand is one of my favorite. It would have to be Thailand, I think, from my trip in the end of 2016, because that was sort of my first solo trip. The first part of it was work and the trip was arranged for me, so you know that kind of a solo trip is easy, like when a brand calls you and they have everything arranged for you, it's comfortable.
Yeah.
But the second part of the trip I extended and I stayed longer on my own in Bangkok. That is special for me just because, yeah, like first solo trip, I ended up falling in love with the vibe of Bangkok, though it was my second trip to the city. But my first trip was not that great. It was many years ago and it was just okay.
I've actually never done solo travel. Like every time I plan a trip alone, someone just joins me. So I'm really looking forward to doing a solo trip sometime this year because I think that'll be a nice experience. I've never done it.
It is. I think especially like if you do it at least once, it's good. There are obviously downsides to traveling solo, and I had convinced myself that solo trips are not for me, that I wouldn't like it, that I don't like talking to strangers and that I just wouldn't enjoy it. But I ended up enjoying it a lot more, and it teaches you a lot about yourself.
Yeah, I'm sure. So
such a corny thing to say, but it does. The next question is, can you recite your passport number from memory fast?
No, so I recently got a new passport. I could recite my old passport number by heart. I learned that down, and I think it's good to learn your passport number. But my new one, I haven't been able to remember it yet. Hopefully I'll get down to doing that soon. But yeah, I don't remember my new one.
I'm in the same boat. I just got my new passport at the start of 2018, and I've done only one international trip. So I knew my old passport number sort of, not as well as she's saying, but if you tell me the first letter, if you get me started, I knew the number. It's always really good to know your passport number if you're a frequent traveler, and it's always good to have copies and stuff.
Copies, yeah. So I normally keep a photocopy of my passport in my bag at all times. I don't really carry my passport because I don't think that's safe, so I leave it in the hotel room locker.
Yeah.
But yeah, I keep copies on my phone, I keep copies in my bag, just a lot of multiple copies everywhere to be safe.
Yeah, that's super important because I've never lost a passport.
Yeah, same here.
But it can happen, and it's a situation that you have to prepare yourself for, and it can be disastrous if you don't know your number also. The next question is, what is your preferred method of travel? Do you like planes, trains or automobiles?
So I'm gonna say planes, hands down planes, because I really enjoy flying and I really enjoy spending time at the airport. It's one of my favorite things to do. And so much so that I am the kind of person who gets excited when flights get delayed, because that means hanging out more at the airport.
Who are you?
So yeah, I really enjoy the whole flying experience, from chilling at the airport to flying, and yeah, planes. But again, it depends on where you are, because a lot of places aren't accessible by planes. So in that case, I would say trains. But yeah, if I have a choice, then planes.
So I would say this answer depends heavily on context. Like if you're traveling to a far off foreign country, you have to take a plane. practicality aside, I love that planes can take us like this steel bird flying through the air and taking us somewhere far off very quickly. But I do not like waiting at airports. I get very stressed when I have delayed flights, especially if you have to catch a connecting flight. But
yeah, that is a situation I wouldn't enjoy either. But in general, I like hanging out at airports.
I like just being on time at the airport and the plane being on time, and if everything is going smoothly, then I'm happy. But I definitely don't like airports too much. My ideal method of traveling is like I love road trips, but I don't own a car or can't drive. My family can't drive either. No one can drive. I know it's kind of shameful. It always has to be like we have to hire a car with the driver if we want to do that road trip experience. But I really enjoy like sitting in a car and seeing landscapes pass by, even if my body gets really stiff.
That's something I surprisingly don't enjoy that much. So I used to think I didn't like road trips at all, especially because, especially if it's like a long car journey. But recently I did a trip to the Northeast and that was complete like by car, a complete like road trip, and I really enjoyed it. So I think I'm a changed person now.
It depends on the location. Like the Northeast must be gorgeous, right?
Yeah, true. So it was like a really scenic drive everywhere. So that definitely made a difference. But yeah, in general, I don't think I'm a big fan of road trips.
Bonus question that I'm making up. What is your least favorite method?
So for me, like the least favorite would be buses. A, because they don't have restrooms usually, and B, because I don't know, I've just read a lot about like accidents and stuff happening on buses, and they're just usually really long. The bus rides, and it depends on traffic, and traffic in India is bad everywhere, so like buses are my least favorite. Okay. What about you?
You and my mother would definitely get along, like same answers. I would have to say I really dislike trains, just because in India the train system is in some ways efficient, but it's not comfortable. When we're talking about local railways, also in Bombay, I traveled to college by train. It can just be really hard. You must be having some idea, right?
Yeah. I've taken the local train in Bombay many times.
Even like Indian railways, I've had good and bad experiences. I feel like your co-passengers are too much in your face, and it's a toss-up. And there are restrooms, but let's not talk about railway restrooms. So
That's true.
I've never had like a nice posh, like I really want to go in like a Japanese train or a European train.
That would be amazing. Yeah,
they look so nice.
Yeah.
Trains are my least favorite in India.
Honestly, surprisingly, I took the train in Vietnam, and I wasn't expecting it to be nice because Vietnam is not a very rich country. But it was way better than the Indian railway system, so I was very pleasantly surprised.
Even the trains in Sri Lanka are supposed to be really good.
Yeah, I've never been to Sri
I've
Lanka.
been to Sri Lanka but not been on a train there. But they also look good. Kind of like Indian railways, but maybe better. I don't know. I mean, Indian Railways does a good job and carries so many people, so I don't want to put it down, but it's just not the best. So what are your top 3 travel items?
Okay, top 3 travel items. My number 1 would be my camera. I don't go anywhere without my camera because not just since I started YouTubing and blogging, but even otherwise I've been very into photography. So since I was a kid, I've always carried my camera. I think I got my first camera when I was in 5th grade. I had one of those film cameras, like the basic film.
I had a Kodak KB10. Maybe you had like a similar one.
Something similar, I think. And yeah, I would just take that everywhere, and then I eventually got a DSLR. But yeah, like no trip is complete without taking my camera along with me. Second thing is kind of lame, but I'm gonna say my lip balm because I just need my lip balm with me at all times. And the third thing I would say is just like all my travel documents and my passport and IDs and stuff like that, because that's just a necessity that you need to have. Yeah, depending on where you're going.
It's super important.
Oh yeah, so those are my 3 things.
Mine are very similar. I would have to say camera, a phone, and I can't really think of a third. Maybe like hand cream. Like I get very upset when my hands are dry, and I have dry palms, and then when my palms are dry, it just bothers me. So I don't even care that much about hand sanitizer somehow.
Yeah, for me hand sanitizers are a must.
Okay, I'm like, okay, I'll manage without. I know that's weird, but still, I need my hand cream. And I once had a legitimate nightmare, and I woke up like really upset. I was at home, I was not traveling, but I dreamt that I traveled somewhere and I forgot to carry my camera. And I was like, wow, one more thing to be anxious about now. but
Yeah,
it's
that's-
never happened.
Yeah, same. It's never happened, but that's something that I can imagine getting a nightmare about too.
Sometimes I do forget to carry SD cards, but that.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I recently bought a drone and I went somewhere recently and I forgot my SD card. And drones have a micro SD card, so I didn't even have like a backup SD card that I could have used from my camera. So that was really annoying.
The same thing has happened to me. The same thing. I went to this scenic place. It's sort of like an island of Mumbai called, I forget what it's called. It's very, and there was this beautiful church there. And it was just really gorgeous, and I was so ready to fly my drone and get some sick shots. And then turns out there was no card. Same issue, I did not have a spare micro SD card, so I was so upset. But when it happens once, you know it won't happen again, because now I check obsessively.
Same, I'm like double checking like if I've got all my SD cards and cameras.
And also always having a spare is sensible.
True.
That I try to do.
Yeah, I try to do that too.
I have a spare today for this camera. So the next question is, do you prefer hostel or hotel?
Okay, so I've never stayed in hostels, so by default I'm gonna say hotels. The places I've been to, hostels are more or less the same price as hotels.
Okay.
So it just makes sense for me to stay in hotels. But I do see the appeal of hostels, especially if you're like a solo traveler, because I think it's a good way to meet new people. But I've always ended up traveling with people, so I've never needed that. So I just find hotels convenient. Okay. And I don't know, like I've always enjoyed staying in hotels. Hotels are like my favorite places to stay in. But I should give hostels a chance sometime. I've never done that. So
For sure, they're lovely. Like I would say hostels, but I feel like I'm somewhat cheating on my answer, because when most people say hostels, they're talking about that typical dormitory room situation. I've never done a hostel dorm. I've never done a shared room, and I always get hostels that have private rooms, whether I'm alone or whether I'm with like my mom or someone traveling with anyone else. I always get a hostel with a room. I really like hostels because most of the time they end up being cheap compared to hotels, and they end up being close, and they have all the amenities a traveler needs. They don't have extra frills maybe, but they provide you with a free breakfast. They have Wi-Fi. You can use their kitchen to heat up your food. There's usually like a computer you can use in the lobby.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, just in case you're not like having a computer with you and you need to like Google or something. And I found the atmosphere in hostels to be really welcoming and comfortable for travelers. Like in Bangkok, I kept going back because the hostel host there, May, was so lovely, and she just helped me a lot. I would say hostels are especially useful in a place where they don't speak a lot of English. Make sure your hostel host speaks English. Airbnb usually lists that, you know.
Yeah.
Because if you have a good host, they'll help you out a lot. And they just tell you how to do things, and it can be really nice. I also love hotels. I have nothing against them, but they usually cost more. I would stay in a hotel to like chill and relax and have a plush time. But I would stay in a hostel when I want to be like a serious traveler and like explore.
So my strategy usually is like if I'm going to a place where I just want to travel and see the place, I book like a really cheap hotel.
That makes sense.
But yeah, I should consider hostels.
I hope you try hostels soon.
Yeah.
Like you were saying you wanted to go to Europe and stuff.
Yeah, so Europe, like it depends on the place, I think. Because countries in Europe are really expensive, so places like that, I think hostels would make more sense for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you're traveling in Southeast Asia and you're on a low budget, you can still find decent hotels. So yeah, I've always just ended up staying in hotels.
But I hope you get your first hostel experience soon.
Hopefully, yeah.
This is a fun question. Are you a repeat visitor or do you travel to new places?
I think we all already know your answer.
Guilty.
But I always travel to new places. Not that I don't want to go back to the same places again, but it's just that I feel like if I'm spending money and time going to a place, then I'd rather go to a new place because there's so much to see and there are so many countries to go to, and even within India there's so many places, so I always try to cover new places. But yeah, there are some places that I've visited that I'd love to go back to. I just haven't gotten around to doing that ever. But
so
yeah.
What are like 2 places that you really loved?
One would be Vietnam. I really loved Vietnam. I'd love to go back there someday. And within India, I think Ladakh and the Andamans, both beautiful and amazing places that I would love to go back to. But I just don't know if it'll ever happen because there's just so much to see. So I don't know. But
that
yeah.
makes sense. I feel like we're very like the opposite like that. I feel like Kritika is doing it better. I almost feel like a bad traveler when I keep repeating places, but I'm that kind of person that just tends to gravitate towards what's safe often. Yeah, it can be comforting to go back to a place like that's new, but it's also really familiar. And for me, that place is like Bangkok. I keep going back, and each time I discover a little bit more, I go a little bit deeper.
Yeah, that's true. Like, that's something you miss out on if you're going to a place only once, because you don't end up experiencing it as well as you could if you keep going back there again and again.
For sure.
That's something I'd like to experience.
So those are like two opposing perspectives.
So wait, how many times have you been to Bangkok?
So I first went about 9 years ago. I wasn't really an experienced traveler, and there were a lot of things we didn't do. The language barrier was bad, and we didn't really know how to go about. But the first time that I went back was in late 2016. Then there were 2 trips in 2017 and one in 2018.
Oh my god. I've been to Bangkok twice, and that's the only place that I think I've been to twice. I didn't want to, but I just didn't have a choice. So
we are so the opposite. Like you're telling me that now also, like, oh, Magali, do you want to go to Bangkok like next week? I'm like, yes. Like, okay, I'm gonna go. The next question is, do you read up on a destination, like on its culture, history, safety, or do you wing it?
I always read up and do my research. I feel like it's important to read up at least a little bit about the place that you're going to, so that you can make the most out of your trip. And also, different countries have different cultures, and you don't want to disrespect that culture. So it's a good idea to read up about the culture of each place. Another thing that I do is I also read up like the basics of the language of that place, if it's a place that doesn't speak English. So yeah, those are the things that I do research about. But again, I don't do like serious excessive research. I do like to leave a bit of spontaneity in my trip, and I do like to wing it to some extent. So I don't have like a strict plan of like, oh, this is what I'm doing on each day. But I do like to read up and have a general idea of what all there is to see and what all there is to experience in each place that I'm going to.
I think my answer would be really similar to yours also. I feel like it's irresponsible to not do a basic amount of research on safety, on the cultural norms, as she says, because in many different countries, something that's very normal to you might be offensive to them, and it is your responsibility or visiting their country to actually respect the locals. So you do need to research that. And I also research places that I think I'd like to go to. I leave my trips mostly very open-ended, and I don't have a day-to-day itinerary. I don't plan my days as such, but I will do my research and I will make like a rough list of places I want to see.
That's what I do too. Yeah.
So the next question, I think I know my answer, and I feel like I know your answer to this also. What's your favorite travel website?
I know this is not a travel website, but I'm gonna say YouTube. Is that yours too? So yeah, I do love watching travel vlogs, and I feel like there's so much information on YouTube. I just prefer watching videos to reading about a place. So YouTube is like my preferred travel website to get all my travel information.
For sure, it's the exact same thing. I just feel like videos can be really immersive, and good writing is also amazing, but in a video you get a bit of that experience of the place, and you get a feeling of the vibe. There are such great travel creators on YouTube. Kritika's one. It's a really nice place to do travel research. It's obviously not like the only website I would go to, but maybe if you tell me of some new destination I've never heard of and I'm curious, I would YouTube it first.
Yeah, that's the first thing I would do too. But in general, like, I would just Google a little about the place and see random blog posts and stuff.
Yeah,
TripAdvisor is a good place. Instagram too, actually, like for
just
photo
for pictures,
inspiration. Yeah, Instagram.
Sometimes I'll look at a new place and I'll be like, oh, I want a picture like that over there.
Yeah, I do that too.
That's the shallow side, but just being real.
But also remember, when we were younger, we would have Lonely Planet books of like each place. So when we'd go to a country, we would have like Lonely Planet or Outlook Traveler books. So that was like my earlier method of doing research. But now it's YouTube and everything online.
There is some appeal to Lonely Planet still. I've never been a guidebook person. I forgot they existed. I think I still get Outlook Traveler at home. Those are also not bad, obviously, but now like media has shifted and we have new ways to search for things, which is amazing.
Yeah, and now usually what I do is like I said, I spend a lot of time at airports. So if I haven't done research about the place in advance, I'll use my time at the airport doing research about that place.
Oh, that makes so much sense, because that time like you're so excited.
Yeah, so it's just like the best time to do research, I think.
Where would you recommend a friend to visit? So name a city and why.
Okay, so I'm gonna sound like I haven't been to any place but Vietnam, but I'm gonna say Hanoi in Vietnam because it's one of the most amazing cities I've been to. It's so culturally rich, and I honestly didn't expect to like the place at all when I went there, but I loved it. The people were really nice. The culture was really nice, and it's just so diverse, and there's so much to do there, and there are places around Hanoi that you can go to also. So definitely Hanoi.
Wow.
The food there is amazing. I was vegetarian when I visited Vietnam. I'm vegan now, and I didn't have issues at all. So it was like really easy to travel Hanoi.
Amazing. Like I don't remember being to Vietnam. I feel like I've been when I was very young with my parents, but not as a traveler. But after hearing about Kritika's travels, I really want to go, and I think all of us are going to be watching your Vietnam vlogs after
Yeah,
this.
like you should definitely. Hanoi is one place that everyone should visit. I think it's just an amazing city.
For me also, you guys will already know, but I'm going to say Bangkok for a lot of similar reasons actually. Before I visited Bangkok for the first time, I really thought I would dislike it, but I ended up liking it so much. I love the culture. I love that it's really affordable. It's a great first destination for any new traveler. It's safe for solo women travelers. And the fact that you don't have to shell out a lot of money, stay is affordable, food is affordable, is nice. Like all travel shouldn't be a luxury, right? It's got something for everybody, whether you're like a fast-paced or a partying kind of traveler, you like food, you like shopping, there's something like for everyone, and it's super nice. It's like one of my ideal cities. That
All
makes
of those
me
things are true for
comfortable.
Hanoi actually. So I think you should really go. You'll love it.
I would love to go. So we're down to the last question, and this is a really, really good one. You're leaving tomorrow. Money is no option. Where are you going?
So by no option, do you mean there's no money or?
It says money is no option. I did not read this wrong, so it's bad phrasing, but I think they just mean you have all of the money, like you don't have any budget constraints. Then where?
Okay, so for me it would be Europe because I've been dying to visit Europe. There are so many countries in Europe that I want to visit, and Europe is a very expensive place to go to. So I would definitely say Europe. France, Spain, Italy are like top of my list. I also want to go to Morocco, Turkey and Greece. Basically to all of Europe, ideally.
Yeah, that can't be done in one trip, or if it can, you just need to go for
if
like
money
2 months.
is not a concern, then I think it can be done in one trip.
Ooh, yeah.
So all of Europe would be like my ideal trip.
Nice. I knew this answer as soon as I saw the question. For me, it has to be Japan. I wanted to go to Japan, since forever. But I'm intimidated by two things. First is the language barrier, and second, of course, is it's a very expensive country.
Yeah.
And I've been putting it off. Like I want to go before I'm 30, so I have a little less than 4 years. I'm intimidated by how much it costs, and I feel like I keep pushing it further. I'll go in 2 years or 3 years. And if I had all of the money, I would absolutely go like next month. I feel it requires some planning, so next month. And I would like do Japan properly. I would stay in Tokyo for like a few weeks, and then I would explore maybe the countryside or whatever. It's such a fascinating country and culture, and I look forward to exploring it sometime.
Yeah, I'd love to visit Japan too someday. But I hope you get to go sometime soon.
Yeah, me too. But I'm okay with waiting also. Like good things come to those who wait. As long as I eventually go, that'll be good enough.
As long as it's not longer than 4 years.
Yeah. That's the goal I've set for myself. But I mean, if I go in my 30s also, I think it's a cool country. But yeah, I'm gonna go before that. We've come to the end of all of the questions, and this was super fun to film. I hope you enjoyed listening to our answers, and if you would like to answer any of these questions also, feel free to leave a comment with your answer. And if you're a YouTuber also, feel free to take this tag. And I'm also going to tell you guys again to please watch the video we did on Kritika's channel. I already mentioned the theme, so yeah, I'm not going to spoil it a lot, but I think you guys will enjoy it. And check out her channel, subscribe to her, and also tell me who I should collab with next.
This was actually my first collab,
Ooh.
so thanks for having me on your channel. I really enjoyed being on it.
And likewise, thank you for having me on your channel also. See you guys next time.
Bye.